I just created the most optimal speed enhancement workout to ever exist, and I'm about to give it to you right here in this video. This is the most optimal workout that I can possibly come up with, and it's structured perfectly, properly, and this will enhance any athlete's speed performance if you do this consistently. Doesn't matter what kind of athlete you are, what kind of sport you're training for, speed is so important in all sports, and if you increase your speed, you will be increasing your athleticism as well. So, this workout is going to be enhancing all aspects of what the human body needs to run faster. That's every muscle in the quad, every muscle in the hamstring, every muscle in the butt, every muscle in the whole foot, the Achilles, the soleus, the calf, your hip flexors, everything that you can think of that needs to be enhanced and worked on is going to be optimized perfectly in this workout. Not only are we hitting every single one of these muscle groups, but every single one of them is being hit purposefully to make you faster. So we're hitting them correctly with the right speeds, with the right kind of exercises in the right direction. Everything in this workout is going to be optimized perfectly for increasing your speed. Okay, enough talking. Let's get into exercise number 1. So first of all, you want to do your warm-ups first, all right? You want to do some skips. You want to get the blood flowing and get ready in order to perform exercise number 1 as fast as you can, as properly as you can, because again, this is the most important and it's the fastest. It's the most important because it's going to lead us into the actual most important one. All right, so it's hard to think about, but this is the most important thing because if you don't do this, we're not going to be able to perform the next exercise as well as it should be performed, which is actually the most important exercise. All right, so this first exercise is going to be getting our fast twitch muscles firing super, super fast, and that is we're sprinting in place as fast as we possibly can. It's a banded pullback sprint in place. So a band or some sort of bungee is around our waist. We're not putting any force into the ground. We are not worrying about force production at all. All we care about here is moving our legs as fast as they possibly can go. I honestly would consider this exercise still in the warm-up phase, okay? So this is just the last exercise of the warm-up that's going to get us ready to do this next exercise, which is full speed sprinting. So if full speed sprinting is our most important movement, then we absolutely need to be fully ready for that. And this exercise, if you do it in the warm-up consistently every single day, not only will it get you ready for the super important movements, but it also will be increasing your leg speed over time in your ultra fast twitch muscle fibers, because all you're thinking about is your leg speed and is your turnover rate. So we want to keep the seconds or like the reps of this exercise super, super short. We don't want to go for too long. We just want to hit max speed and then cut it off as soon as we feel like we're starting to get even a little bit slower. So you want to do it for 6 to 8 seconds for 3 reps. So we're keeping the seconds super low because as soon as we hit a max speed in here, we can't get any faster because we don't want to get super tired from these and worn out. We're literally just preparing our ultra fast twitch muscle fibers to fire as fast as they possibly can for the rest of this workout. So we're going to do 6 to 8 seconds for 3 sets with full recovery in between each set. And then from there, we're going to move into max effort 30 hard sprints. So 30 hard is 30 steps put into the ground as hard as you possibly can. So we're not necessarily focused on form. We're not focused on turnover rate. We're not focused on any of that. Only thing we're focused on here is putting as much force as you possibly can into the ground, even if it looks weird. Okay, this is not just a random max effort sprint. This is 30 hard, 30 steps into the ground as hard as you possibly can. This is going to work your mind-muscle connection and help your nervous system learn what it feels like to apply a ton of force into the ground, all right? A lot of times you feel like you might be applying a lot of force, but you can be applying more in your nervous system, and you just don't know how to do that correctly. So if we train this way, that way when we're not thinking about it and we just want to go off and sprint, it's going to be natural for us and we're going to be applying a ton of force into the ground naturally. So what we're doing here is 30 hard. We're going to do it for 2 reps and you're resting full. That means you're not breathing heavily when you start the next rep at all. So as I said, we did the fastest movement first, and then we went into the second fastest movement / the most important out of everything in this entire workout. And then we're going to go into the third most important / third fastest of this entire workout, which is sled pulls. Sled pulls are probably other than sprinting, the best way you can increase your speed, not only for your muscles, but for your nervous system, and to just train your actual body to learn what it feels like to sprint with applying a lot of force into the ground. Because when you sprint with something around your waist that's holding you back, it forces you to lean forward more and apply more force into the ground on each step, and not thinking about having a quick turnover rate. Because typically when you're doing sled pulls, you're working on your start. That's why we work on sled pulls for acceleration, because you apply a ton of force with sled pulls and you're not worrying about elasticity and turnover rate and opening up and getting tall and getting super loose. All right. With sled pulls, we are tight. A lot of people try to tell you at all times throughout a race, you need to stay loose. That is false, because in the beginning of a race, you're applying so much force that you need to be strong, okay? Top speed, because you're moving the fastest that you can possibly move, is super loose, and you do have to be calm, a relaxed face, as loose as possible. But when you're in your start and you're coming out the blocks, you need to be strong. And strength, you can't lift something extremely heavy being loose. All right, you need a brace. You need to be tight, okay? I'm not saying, tight with your fists, but I'm saying you need to be extremely aggressively explosive. And that's what we're doing here with sled pulls. We're being so aggressive with our arms and with our legs, and we are applying as much force as possible into the ground, and that is what acceleration is. So you want to be doing 20 to 30% of your body weight for 15 to 20 yards. And again, we're resting full, and you should be dropping the weight if you feel like you're slowing down within those 20 yards. We want to be accelerating through the 20 yards, because again, we're accelerating. We don't need to be holding a top speed when we're pulling a sled, okay? We need to be accelerating the whole time. As soon as we stop accelerating and we start slowing down, then pulling the sled becomes pointless, and we need to stop the rep there. Or we need to lower the weight or lower the distance of how far we're running. So I'd recommend starting with 20 to 30% of your body weight, just going 15 to 20 yards, full effort, and applying as much force on the ground as possible, and making that your key mental cue of what you're doing in the rep. Okay, so we're done with the highly explosive and fast movements that we just did out on the field or on the track or whatever you have access to. And now we're gonna go into the weight room and perform the most important weight room movements for speed enhancement. So your very first weight room movement should always be, again, your most important movement, which in all cases in the weight room should be your compound lift. So in this case, I'm going to give you actually three to choose from, three different compound lifts to choose from. So those three are going to be hang clean, barbell Bulgarian split squats, or heavy quarter squats. Now you're going to pick one of these to stick to for however many times you do this workout. All right. And then you're going to track the weight that you do. And each time you come to the weight room to perform this exercise again, you're going to need to increase the weight every single time. That's what progressive overloading is. And that's actually how we're going to track how much your power is increasing and how much your explosive strength is increasing, because each one of these needs to be done extremely explosively and is going to be directly correlated into your sprint ability, as long as you're doing these other exercises that are coming after it. That will help it go from just power to sprint specific power, because power in sprinting is force absorption to force production, whereas the compound lifts, like the three I just gave you, are just force production. So we need both in order to actually make it sprint specific and have it applied into sprinting. So for the hang clean, you're gonna wanna do super low reps. You never wanna go past 3 reps on a hang clean. So I'd say 2 to 3 reps, 4 sets if you wanna do the hang clean. And for the barbell Bulgarian split squat, you're gonna wanna do 5x4, so 5 reps, 4 sets. And same thing for the heavy quarter squat, 5 reps, 4 sets. And actually all of those should be done off a clap. So as you're doing the eccentric, you should have a teammate or someone clap. And as soon as you hear that clap, you're exploding up as fast as you can. And that's gonna help simulate exploding off the gun, or if you're a football player, exploding off the ball. It's important to react to things, so then we're not anticipating. We know exactly when we need to apply the force, because a lot of times we don't know when we need to apply the force, and it just needs to happen on a dime, off a reaction, just like that. So that's what we're preparing for. So that's your compound movement. Again, make sure to progressive overload it write down in your notes what weight you did it at and if you were able to complete all 5 reps of all 4 sets. Unless it was the hang clean and it was 2 to 3 reps for 4 sets. And for all of those, they should be done again with full recovery. All right, we're resting full in between every single set and we're fully prepared for that next rep before we do it. All right, now that we're done with our compound lift, we're gonna start getting into supersets. So far in the workout, we've been pretty quad dominant. So this first superset is gonna be with our hamstrings. And then the next 2 supersets are gonna be some overcoming isometrics and regular isometrics. And then we're gonna start getting into lower core training and hip flexor training. But for this first superset that comes directly after your compound lift is gonna be a single leg yoga ball hamstring curl. So this one you want to perform with your butt as high in the air as you can. All right, everything's got to be super tight. Put your hands out to the side and you're just going to want to drive your heel to your butt, keeping your hips up in the air as high as they can go. And you're going to want to keep your hips there and then slowly do that eccentric and push the ball away from you. So this is going to be simulating what your hamstrings are going to have to be going through during sprinting. We're supersetting that single leg yoga ball hamstring curl, which is 8 to 10 reps per leg. We're supersetting it 4 times with a 3-way yoga ball kickback. So you're gonna wanna do 4 reps per leg.
Lift your butt up and put your arms out all the way so you don't lose balance. And then you're gonna kick one leg in 3 different ways, just like this. So you're gonna kick it back and then hit the ball, hit the ball, hit the ball. And you're gonna do it 3 different ways. So now my left leg is being strengthened because it's holding myself here.
And 1 rep is going all 3 directions. So you go straight back, side, other side, that's 1 rep. You do that 4 times per leg. What I like about the 3-way yoga ball kickback is you're actually stretching and strengthening your hamstrings at the same time. Your hamstrings get strengthened super well in a lengthened position. That's why RDLs work your hamstrings so much. An RDL is literally just a stretch. You're just stretching your hamstrings with load as much as you can, and the hamstrings work really well with that, and they get super sore from those because the hamstrings get strengthened through lengthening. So while one of our feet is holding up our entire body weight, the other leg is being strengthened through lengthening and is getting more flexible and more coordinated because you have to, move directions, and there's a lot of nervous system and attention that goes into doing that exercise and going the 3 different directions. So again, 4 reps per leg, and you're going to want to do that superset 4 times. Also, this whole superset is going to be strengthening our core and strengthening all of our stability muscles within our legs because we're using an unstable yoga ball, which are firing so many different muscles in the legs in order to keep our body afloat and to keep our hips high. So that superset is going to be amazing for our hamstrings and is going to help with that sprint specific training. Okay, our next superset is going to be an overcoming isometric wall push. A lot of people call them fence pushes as well, but here our entire objective is to push into an immovable object as hard as we possibly can. This is what an overcoming isometric is. We're going to be wanting to push in for at least 16 to 20 seconds, and we're going to be using that Achilles and that soleus to drive all that force from a straight leg into the wall, into the immovable object as hard as we can. This is not an upper body exercise. This is a glute and ankle exercise. All right, our ankle, our Achilles, our soleus, these are the things that are going to be getting put under load here and what we're going to be wanting to use to apply the force into the ground, pushing as hard as we can into this immovable object, holding that for 16 to 20 seconds, and then we're supersetting that 4 times with banded wall runs. So you're going to want to put the band on your feet, not past your heels, but just on your feet, and you're going to do normal wall runs. Wall runs are super good for strengthening that hip flexor and getting your hips forward to teach yourself what triple extension feels like. But in this case, because they're banded, we're going to be strengthening those hip flexors a lot more because we're going to have to hold at the top for a second. And as we switch, we're actually over speed switching because the band pulls the other leg down while pulling the other foot up. So it's actually an overspeed switch. And then as you switch the 2 feet, it starts getting more and more tension as they separate more and more. And then you have to hold that position for a second or 2. So this is going to be helping a ton with that hip flexor strength. Because again, I said, We're working our hip flexors in this workout. Also, this band will force you to keep a dorsiflex or else it'll literally fall off. So you have to keep a very tight dorsiflex. You have to keep your hips forward and you have to perform this exercise extremely fast. It literally forces you to do it fast because of the bands on your feet. So I really like this exercise supersetted with the overcoming iso. Okay, the next superset that we got after those is we got the isometric bent knee calf raise hold. All right, you're going to want to be doing these with load, and I'd recommend just doing it with a dumbbell at first because this is a very hard exercise to hold if you're doing them properly, and if they're super easy for you, then you're not doing them right. So to do these right, you're going to want to focus on getting your heel as high as possible. And as your heel comes up higher and higher, your knee is going to bend more and more. That's okay. Again, we want our heel as high as possible. So as soon as your heel stops elevating from your knee bending more, that's where you want to hold your knee positioning at and keep that heel in that exact position. Have someone watch your heel. Make sure it's not dropping at all. So the whole point of these is to be strengthening that entire foot and that entire ankle. We're strengthening that soleus muscle. We're increasing the tendon stiffness in the Achilles, and we're making those ankles as stiff as possible, and we're strengthening them under crazy isometric load. If you don't know, isometrics are what makes elasticity. So if you want to increase your elasticity, then you needed to be doing isometrics and overcoming isometrics. And everything in sprinting starts at the foot. And if your power that you have in the weight room is not getting applied into sprinting, then that probably means your Achilles and your soleus and your entire foot is not able to absorb that force and then apply it within a short ground contact, which is all what the Achilles and soleus and foot are doing while sprinting. So that's why we need to be strengthening this for every athlete. So we're holding that for 20 to 25 seconds, and we're supersetting it 4 times with forward moving pogos for height and distance. The reason why we're not just doing pogos for height in one place is because that's just vertical force, and in sprinting, we don't care about vertical force. We care about horizontal force because we're moving horizontally. So with these pogos, we want to be moving horizontally as well, and it wouldn't be a pogo if you weren't going for height as well. So still go for height, but mainly go for distance on these pogos. Keep your hands on your hips and don't let that heel touch the ground. Keep a dorsiflexion in the air. Make sure at the last second of the pogo, you plantar flex just a little bit in order to really get that spring out of the ground contact. And you're going to want to do that for 10 reps. So that superset alone is going to be so big for your speed development because of all of the pressure it's going to be applying and strength that it's going to be increasing in the entire foot, Achilles, soleus, all of the muscles that are required for ankle stiffness and elasticity and force absorption to force production, which is what sprinting is going to be worked and improved from this superset. Okay, from there, we're going into our lower core and hip flexor training. We're doing this near the end of the workout because these are muscles that can handle being tired and still performing well even after a full workout. So for this first one, you're not going to want to superset it with anything because it's such an important movement, but you're going to want to do a heavy laying reverse squat, or if you don't have access to a machine that can do that or add-on equipment to put your feet through, then you can do a hanging leg raise. I'd recommend the reverse squat. This is literally your compound movement for your hip flexors. You can progressive overload this exercise in the weight room if you want. So for these, you're going to want to be doing 8 to 12 reps for 4 sets. I say 8 to 12 because for the hanging leg raises, you want to be shooting for 12, and for the reverse squats, doing 8 reps. 8 reps meaning you're failing on that 8th rep. Like you're loading up the hip flexors so much that on that last rep, you barely can get your knees up to your chest. So you want to be doing that for 8 reps to really be increasing the strength of your hip flexors. Next, after those 4 sets, we're going to be going into Spider-Man core progressions. So the progression means we have an outer leg where we're twisting our hip, using our outer leg to touch our knee to our elbow. And then the second part of the progression is inner leg, where we're touching our knee to our other elbow. That's across our body. So you're going to want to do 12 reps for each progression alternating. So you don't have to do 12 reps per side. You just want to alternate every single time. This is obviously going to be working our hip flexors and our core strength and stability. I really am a big fan of actual core training. All right, there's a difference between training your abs and training your core. Core is going to be sport specific. It's things that are actually going to help us stabilize our body, whereas just working our abs, it's going to be more like machine work, and it's just working the actual show muscles of it. All right, we don't care about the show muscles. We care about the function of the muscle and what it actually does. And these Spider-Man core progressions are going to be super good for function and really working those stabilization muscles. And we got that for 3 sets. And then after that, you want to do flutter kicks for 30 seconds, supersetted with V-ups. That's pretty self-explanatory. The flutter kicks working lower core as well as hip flexors, and do it for 30 seconds. At this point in the workout, that's going to be very, very hard to do, but just do it to the best of your ability. And then superset right after that with a few V-ups, as many as you can do. I just said 8 reps because that's probably what you're going to be able to do. If you can do more, do more. But remember, it's a superset and you're doing it 3 times. And then after that, you are done. That is the most optimal workout for speed enhancement. Tell me I'm wrong. I would love to hear it because I can't think of a better workout than this. If you can tell me an exercise that'd be more optimal than this for speed enhancement, please tell me. All right, I want to know because I don't believe it until I see it. So tell me what would be more optimal than this exact workout. And obviously after all that, you want to stretch. All right, go do your stretching. That's super important. Do a cool down. Go for like a light jog. All right, you just did the most optimal workout ever for speed enhancement. All right, you don't want to just stop the workout immediately, go drink your protein shake and just chill for the rest of the day on a couch. All right, you want to make sure you do a proper warm down, stretch, make sure your body knows, all right, we're cooling down now and the workout is ending, and then it can recover properly so that you could do that exact workout again the next day because it's so optimally amazing, and you can progressive overload it and get better at it each time. You can film every part of this workout from the first time of you doing it to you doing it a month later, and you will see every single part of this get better. Every single exercise, every single rep of every single weight will be increasing, and you will be getting faster and faster, literally over time, 100% guaranteed from this workout, because we're working leg speed in the beginning, we're working turnover rate in the beginning, and then we're working force production from a max effort 30 hards, and then we're working even more force production from dragging a sled, and we're doing all that with full recovery. All right, that alone, and then forget the rest of any of the other exercises, that alone will get you faster. But no, we go back into the weight room and we do the most important compound movement first, and we're doing either hang clean, which will help us with our triple extension, or we're doing barbell Bulgarian split squat, which is the #1 compound lift for an increase in single leg force production, or we're doing heavy quarter squats, which are going to be super good for loading up the quads. All right, you can go so unbelievably heavy on quarter squats. All right, I want at least 4 plates on either side on those quarter squats. And then we get into some hamstring work, and we strengthening, lengthening, eccentric, concentric, everything with the hamstrings is getting worked. Overcoming wall pushes with the isometrics for the soleus and the Achilles, and then banded wall runs for the hip flexors and the dorsiflexion. And then we're working our elasticity even more with the isometric bent knee calf raise holds. Those are so unbelievably important, especially when you superset them with the max height and distance pogos. That superset is like elasticity on steroids. You're supersetting the thing that will help elasticity with elasticity. And then we go into full hip flexor training and lower core training to stabilize and help the weight of our legs. If you guys don't know why the hip flexors are so important to strengthen, it's because the stronger they are, the lighter your legs feel. And the lighter your legs feel, the faster you're going to be able to lift them up and put them down. If your legs feel super light, that's because your hip flexors are super strong. And if your legs feel super light, you're going to be able to move them so fast. And if you can move them super fast, that means you get to apply the force production that you have more times throughout the race because you touch the ground more often. So there we go. That is the most optimal speed enhancement workout. Please do that. Let me know if you get faster from it, because you will. Only way you won't is if you don't do it. So I'd recommend doing it. I'm going to link this workout so you have the whole thing in one spot, or I'm going to screenshot it and put it up, or I'll do both. I don't know, but it'll probably be linked in the description. Let me know if this was helpful, and go watch my other videos for other speed enhancement workouts. I just recently uploaded a video of if I could only do 2 exercises to get faster for the rest of my life, what would they be? And I gave you those 2 exercises. I also recently uploaded a video on the top 10 most advanced plyometrics for the most advanced athletes. And I made a video about the top 10 most basic and most fundamental and most important plyometrics for all athletes. So make sure you go check out those videos, all super valuable and important. Hope you guys got something from that one, and I'll see you on the next one.